All right, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome back to another exciting day of mathematics. Whoop, whoop. Warm-up number 93 is on the screen. Let's get started, please. Today being a minimum day, we don't have a lot of time, so stay focused. We are moving on today, so everybody go like this. Bear with me, because it's going to get interesting today. Copy and go. With that said, warm-up number 93 was square root of 20. Graph g of x equals x minus 7 squared plus 3. Factor by grouping x squared plus 2x plus 24 plus 12x. And part B is 3x squared plus 10x plus 8. Synthetic division for negative 2x cubed plus 3x squared plus 5x minus 1 divided by x minus 1. And number 5, solve the system by substitution. Y plus 2x equals 6. And y equals negative 5x minus 3. All right? For the sake of time, set that aside. Agenda. Warm-up number 93. Parabolas. We're in the middle of parabolas. Tonight you're going to have 6 more for practice. All right? How's home plate? Pretty good? Yeah? You're like, oh yeah, Mr. Q, give us more. All right. You got it. Let's go. So, warm-up 93, parabolas, 6 more graphs of parabolas. This is going to go a little bit faster than usual because we got about half an hour to get this session underway. Okay, so stay focused. So if you fall behind, here's the code for today's presentation, XGMIK. 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 Write that down. For those of you that are following on YouTube, write it down so you have access to the practice. All right? So with that said, previous home plate were these 6 you did by yourself, yes? All right, hold on to those. Check out tonight's, though. Let's go. All right, get a Cornell note going. It says I can write and graph a quadratic equation of parabola. So, parabola, definition. Tell your neighbor the definition of parabola. They should know by now. All right, Anthony E., go. Parabola. Yeah, set a number equidistant to a line and a focus. There they are. From there we got to coming up with an equation. Do we know how to derive that? Yes, you're experts. And if you're not yet, make it a family math night one of these days. Tell them, gather around, folks. Let me show you something. With your family, you'll be the most popular one. Anyways, from there, we came up with these 2, vertical and horizontal, yes. And then we did, using these, some practice problems. And we said that the vertex was at 0, 0. Is that correct? From there, we moved on from vertex 0, 0, so vertex with other numbers other than 0. Those were our new equations. Then we got to some practice of these. Yes? All right? So for the sake of time, look up to the screen. I'm going to go through this one really quick. Don't copy this. You should have this one already, but here it goes one more time. What is the first thing we do? We look at the what? Directrix. If it's y equals negative 4, tell your neighbor what equation you're thinking about. Yeah, x squared equals 4py. And then we look at the focus. Look up. Does it have a 0? No, that means we cannot use this one, so we write x minus 8 squared equals 4p y minus k. From there, once we get this equation, we start with a graphing. So we start with our focus, negative 5, 6. Then our directrix is at y negative 4. And then we start gathering the information that we have for the graphing. Do we have a focus? Yes, negative 5, 6. Do we have a vertex? Not yet, but we do need it. Do we have a point on the directrix? Not yet. We're going to set that. And we need the distance between the points, which is known as P. So, let's see. Focus, we got it. From there, we look at the focus and go straight to the directrix, and we place our point on the directrix. There it is. And what is that point? -5, -4. So far, so good?
Yes, Mr. Q.
From there, we need to find the vertex, which is equidistant from these 2 points. So that means we need to count the steps from one point to the other. So from here to here are 4, and from here to here is 6. So the total of 10, divide that by 2, that's what? 5. So 4 plus 1, that's 5. So my vertex is right there. And what is that point? -5, 1. And right now you're just paying attention. And then from there we just graph it. Do we know how to open? It always opens towards the focus, so it's going to look like this. So far so good, yes? From there we need the distance between the points. What was that distance we said? 5 steps. So that goes here. We substitute H and K. We said that the vertex, this one, has H and K. What is H? -5. What is K? 1. We simplify. X, negative times the negative is a +5, squared equals 4 times 5 is 20, y minus 1, and this is our standard form equation. By now we should be experts at this, yes? All right. However, let me show you something. Look up to the screen. We started off with an x squared transformed to x minus h squared. Look up or you're going to miss it. Look at all these points. What do you guys notice? The -5, right? And what value is that for all of those points? The x. So whenever we start with an x squared, that means that for all the points, the value for x should be what? The same. So question, what if we started with a y squared? Tell your neighbor what's going to happen here with all the points. What's going to happen to all those points, Anthony, D? If we started with y squared. Yeah, that all the numbers that would be the same would be the y instead of the x. All right, keep that in mind. So, with that said, that brings us to these two. We're going to be focusing on these two, no more the smaller ones. We're going to focus on these two from this point forward. Copy this one, example number 3, on the left side of your coordinate plane. Write the instructions, write and graph the equation of the parabola in standard form. X squared minus 4x minus 4y plus 12 equal to 0. Copy that. All right, here we go. Writing utensils down, look up to the screen. It's going to go pretty fast. Stay focused. Y'all ready? It reads, write and graph the equation of a parabola in what? Standard form. Does this look like what we did in the past? Not really. However, first thing to look at, look up. You look at which variable has the square. In this case, which one has the square? The x. That means our standard form should look like this, x minus h squared, because which one has the squared? The x. And what is the last part of that standard form? 4p, what else? Y minus k. Write that down, please. Write it on the side so that we keep that in mind. Because at the end, this has to look like that. All right? So, by looking at our standard form, look up to the screen. What's on the left side? Which variable is on the left side? The x, is that correct? So which one is on the right side? The y. So look at what they give us here. We need to leave the x by itself and send everything else to the right. So what shall I do? Well, plus 4y and minus 12. Do that to both sides. Plus 4y minus 12. This cancels. We're left with x squared minus 4x. Leave an empty space. I'm trying to trigger your noodle. Equals to 4y minus 12. It kind of starting to look like this, but not quite. But I just triggered your noodle by saying leave an empty space. I wonder why I should leave an empty space. Why do you think? Completing the square. So remind your neighbor what to write here to complete that square. What do I do? Plus what? Negative 4 over 2 squared. We need to complete that square. So whatever we do to one side, we do to the other side. So we end up with, here we go, x squared minus 4x plus negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. Negative 2 squared is 4. And this is 4y minus 12 plus 4. Let's simplify the right side. Look up. What is negative 12 plus 4? Negative 8. Yes? Bring down the 4y. Equals x squared minus 4x plus 4. Look at our standard form. Does it almost look like that? Look up. Shake up. All right. Notice this is in what? Factored form, isn't it? So, can I factor this?
Yes, Mr. Q.
So on the side, I want you to write factor, and over here the same thing, factor. But for this side, we need to identify the GCF, and on this side, we need to factor using the shortcut for Power Rangers. Here we go. Y'all ready? Square root of x squared is x. Square root of 4 is 2. Sign of the middle. And we write that squared. Equals. What is the GCF for these two? What is the GCF for those two? Everyone? 4, and that leaves us with y minus 2. Question. Did we end up with something that looks like this? Let's see. Write it underneath. X minus h squared equals 4p y minus k. Does that look like that? Yes. And we're done with writing our equation. Woo-wee. How we doing? You're like, man, it's a lot, Mr. Q. I know. But by now we're experts because we've been doing all our practice, right? So let's see. We started with an equation. We said the variable that has the squared was the x. So that's why we wrote x minus h squared equals 4py minus k. And that was our standard form. We need to make this look like this. We leave x's by themselves and move everything to the other side by using inverse operations. Complete the square, do one thing to the other. Factor on the next step after we simplify here, and we end up with our standard form. So we're done with step 1, which is to write our equation. Now we need to graph it. You're like, oh snap, Mr. Q, but you didn't give us the focus or all the information. All right. So on the top right, I want you to write F for focus, V for vertex, D for the point on the directrix, and P, which is the distance between the points. All right. So, look up to the screen. What do we know about the vertex? Well, Mr. Q, the vertex, I know that is always H and K. That's what goes here. So, let's go to our equation. Tell your neighbor what the vertex is according to the equation we came up with. What is a vertex? Vianney, what's our vertex? Ouch. Mitos, vertex? Close. Once again, our vertex is H and K. Here's our equation. What is H, everyone? 2. What is K, everyone? 2. There it is. Oh, she said? Oh, my bad. Oh, I thought you said 0, 0. Oh, she said 2, 2. Thank you. All right. Next, look up to the screen. Which one has the square? Which variable? The x. And what do we know about the x? Whenever the x is the squared, what do we know about all the points? That the x is what? The same. So for the focus, we write 2 there. And for the directrix, we write 2 there. Are we there so far? Next, we need numbers here for the focus and the directrix. So on the side, check this out. Basically, we need the distance between all the points. And what is the distance called, everyone? P, is that correct? So that means to get this one going upward, we need K, which is 2, plus the distance, which is T. Write it on the side, please. For the directrix, we need, again, K, which is that one, minus P. However, where can I get the distance from those points? Writing utensils down, look up to the screen. Look, we got H from here. We got K from here. Can we get P from here? Yeah, this should be an equation. Look up. I write 4P equals to what? 4. Let's solve for P. What do? Divide by 4. P equals 1. Copy that, please. So, now that we know that the distance between the points is 1, so here, watch. What is K right here? 2. So what is 2 plus 1? 3. So my focus is at 2, 3. And again, K is 2. What is 2 minus 1? Positive 1. So now, do we have enough information to make our graph? All right, let's do that. Our focus is at 2, 3. Our vertex is at 2, 2. Our directrix is at 2, 1. And then you sketch your parabola. Ooh-wee. Let's go. You're like, Hugh, are we going to have this on Friday? Well, maybe. But this is only one way. We already know 2 other ways, so it's going to be a fun one. All right? So, completing the square, come with our standard form equation. We write it underneath. To graph it, we need a focus, vertex, directrix, and P. We start with a vertex by getting that from our equation here. From there, we know that by looking at the variable that's being squared, that means that this is the same value for the rest of the points. And then we just do plus 1 plus and minus 1 because we got P from right there. Let's do another one. Copy this one. Example 3Q. Y squared plus 4x plus 8y plus 4 equal to 0. Y squared plus 4x plus 8y plus 4 equal to 0. You don't need the instructions. Let's get started. Question. Is this in standard form according to what we wrote yesterday and the day before? No. However, which one has the squared, everyone? Which variable? The y squared. That means we need an equation that looks like this. Y minus k squared equals to 4p, what? X minus h. So we need to make this look like this, which means on the left side we're going to have the y, and on the right side we're going to have the x. So let's get rid of the x and everything else from here. Leave the y by itself, so we subtract 4x and subtract 4 from each side. Subtract 4x and subtract 4. So this cancels, and we're left with y squared plus 8y, empty space, equals negative 4x minus 4. Tell your neighbor how to complete this square right here. How do we complete the square? Then Brandon's going to enlighten us. How do we complete that square? Brandon, Darty? 8 over 2 squared to both sides. 8 over 2 squared to both sides. So we end up with, let's see, y squared plus 8y. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. Minus 4x minus 4 plus 16. So let's simplify the right side. Here it goes again. Y squared plus 8y plus 16 equals to negative 4x. What is negative 4 plus 16? That is 12. All right. We're almost there, right? It's looking kind of like this. But now we need to do what? Label on the side. Factor. Factor. All right, tell your neighbor the factor for the left side. Then Brandon's going to enlighten us. Factor for the left side. What are my factors for the left side? All right, Brandon, Felix, what do I do to factor this? Square root of the y, so that gives us y. Square root of 16 is 4. Sign of the middle, and write that square. That is correct. How about the right side? We can't do that, but can we find the GCF, everyone? Yeah, what is GCF for these two? GCF for those two, Emily, P. 4, and since the first one has a negative, we're going to make it a negative 4. And that leaves us with x minus 3. So, does that look like this? Well, let me write it right underneath. Y minus k squared equals 4p x minus h. Yes, it does look like that, Mr. Q. So we're done with our standard form. Let's go to our graph. On the side over here, write focus, vertex, point on the directrix, and the distance between the points. So we're going to start off with what we know from here. What do we know, Mr. Q? Well, we know that this is what? H and K. Is that correct? So tell your neighbor, what values do I write for the vertex according to our equation? What do we write for the vertex? All right. Jacob, squared. What is our H? Close. Okay, look at our equation and look at the standard form equation. 3, that is correct. That is H, so 3. And what is K, everyone? Close. Remember, this is a negative, so this has to be the opposite. So it's negative 4. All right, so next question. Which variable has the square? The y, which means over here, all the y's should be what? The same. So for the focus, it's negative 4. For the directrix point is also negative 4 of the y. Ooh-hoo-hoo-wee. Next, we need the distance between the points. P. So we look down here, look up. Here it is. Box this and make an equation. 4p equals to negative 4. And then we solve for p. Divide by 4, divide by 4. P equals negative 1. Negative 1. All right. So, look up to the screen. On the previous one, we wrote K, because we needed this one to get this number, plus P, and K minus P, yes? However, do we need that value on both points? No, now we need this one, which means now we're going to use this variable right here, which is known as what? H, right? So here we're going to do H plus P, and over here is H minus P. You're like, oh, snap. All right, so let's see. H. What is H, everyone, here? 3 plus, what is P? Negative 1. So what is 3 minus 1? 2. That goes right here. 2. Right here. 3 again. Oh, sorry. 3, because that's H, minus P. What is P? Negative 1. So what is 3 minus negative 1? This becomes a positive, so this is 4. All right, let's graph that. Focus is at 2, negative 4. 2, negative 4. Vertex is at 3, negative 4. 3, negative 4. Directrix is at 4, negative 4. Sketch your directrix. And remind your neighbor where to sketch that parabola. Where is it going to open towards? Yeah, the focus. Woo-wee. From 1 to 5, how comfortable are you with this? Got some 4s, 5s, 3s, 4, 5s. Okay. Yeah, we need practice. So I'm going to stop right there because the bell's going to ring in about a minute. However, once again, reminder, there's a code for your home plate. Only 6 problems today. Good one, everyone. I'm going to stop the video right here. Those of you that are following on YouTube, enjoy your practice. Have a good one. Bye.